backing. Awesome. Hi, my name is Mark. I've been fly fishing for well over 50 years. And over that time period, I've noticed some particular patterns of areas where fly casters have struggled with their casting performance. So today I've got some tips that'll help you to overcome some of those obstacles and help you to enjoy your fishing and casting a little more. So we got a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Okay, first of all, what we got to really pay attention to is trying to allow the line to extend on our back cast and also on our forward cast. If we don't, here's what happens. Nothing. It's just a pile of junk. So we want to allow it to extend and extend. Just like that. So I'm going to allow it to extend each time, and then I'm going to not extend and the cast will fail. Normal, and it all piles up in front of you. So that's something you definitely want to be noteful of. So the best way to see what's going on behind you is to turn back and watch. Otherwise you're just guessing, you're going to slow that learning curve. So turn around, watch your back cast. So in order to get this whole thing going here, we need to have a fair amount of line out past the rod tip in order to allow it to work. We don't have a 1 ounce lure or a 1/2 ounce lure out there that's going to pull everything out. We're going to use the weight of the fly line to do that. And here's some ways that will help you to get that line out faster. When we start to bend the rod by use of the weight of the line, we're going to call that loading the rod, bending the rod, loading the rod from this point on. And here's a technique to get you out there quick. Each time I do a back cast, I'm going to strip an arm's length off the reel. So here we go. So that's about 60 feet out. And so one thing to note, that each time that we strip line off the reel, we're actually hauling, which helps to load the rod a little bit. So let's watch that in slow motion and pick that apart. Each time we do a back cast, we're going to try to strip an arm's length of line right off the reel. So here we're just kind of gathering it, shooting that line out. Now we pull an arm's length off the reel, shoot that line forward, pull another arm's length off, shoot that line forward, a good arm's length off, shoot that line forward. Watch the left arm stays wide as we deliver the forward cast. That allows the rod to load. Stays wide and then releases. The left arm stays wide and then pulls. That's a slight haul right there. Return the line a little bit and pull. You want the rod loaded on the forward cast. Pulling it. Arm's length, and pull with the left hand as you deliver. Okay, another way to get line out is I'm just going to pull out about 75 feet of line off of here. So we've only got a little bit of line out here past the rod tip. We'll shorten it up to about 3 feet. And I'm going to use the water and the little piece of yarn and monofilament that's on there as an anchor. And I'm going to do an aggressive sweep, sidearm to the right, with an open left hand to allow the line to slide through my hands, through the rod guides, out past the tip. And there's a quick 75 feet of line out. The left hand is wide open. We're dragging about 10 feet of line out through the tip. We close the left hand, roll cast, relax the hand to shoot a little bit of line out, leave the left hand open, drag another 10 or 12 feet of line out past the tip, squeeze the left hand, roll cast, release the hand to shoot a little bit of line out. Now we squeeze the left hand, do a normal back cast with a haul, return some of the line so you can haul on the forward right now, release for a quick 75 feet of line. So with the roll cast, we want to form that very important D loop behind us. And as we come forward, we don't want to do the windshield wiper. It gets the line out, but it adds a lot of splash on the water, it limits your distance, and it could scare the fish. So ideally, we want to have a stroke. Rather than being real risky, we want to have some track to it and stop to an abrupt stop at an upward trajectory. So the line extends above the water and then drops down. Something like this. Okay, so we can go a little further. Now I'm going to add a little bit of a haul to it with my left hand to load the rod a little more. And that actually shoots a little bit of line out. When we do our casts, including the roll cast, we're going to stop at an upward trajectory, and once the rod unsprings or unloads, then we stop to a drop. You don't immediately drop your rod down low, so it goes sort of like this. Stop, and then drop to fish. So another way to get line, to get started, to get it out past the rod tip, is you can sacrifice first 3/4 of your back cast and just let the line slide through your hands, and then close your hand right at the abrupt stop. And so you aggressively lift up and let the line slide through your hands, through the rod guides, and out the tip. Sort of like this. Squeeze, shoot. Squeeze. And out we go. So what will goof you up with that kind of a technique is if you're too wristy and you dump the line behind you when you do your back cast, sort of like that, and then nothing really happens. So let's watch that in slow motion and pick it apart. We'll do this with an open hand just for 1 or 2 casts to help get some line out past the rod tip. So we start our back cast with an open hand. We squeeze, shoot some line forward, open hand, squeeze, shoot some line forward. Now we got enough line out to load the rod, and it's a normal cast. So one thing that's very, very important, and it's one of the biggest things, if I had you remember only one thing from this lesson, it would be this: to stay on the track, the same track with your rod and your wrist flex. So if we do the windshield wiper cast, we're going like that, and we're just making a big arc, and that is not what we're looking for. What we're trying to do is delay the wrist and then come to an abrupt stop. And then on the back cast, delay the wrist, come to an abrupt stop. See how we're getting a track here? Like so. Okay, once we get into a little bit more distance, we need to add more stroke. And the way we do that is we stay on the track, but we move our elbow like so. The rod and the wrist, they all stay on the same track, no matter whether you're straight up or whether you're sidearm. It all stays together. So from a front view, staying on the track, including your wrist angle, would be like so. If you're on an angle, for a sidearm cast, same. Off the track would be, and it's a very likely tendency for all of us, would be to come back and then open the wrist and send the line behind you. And that is one of the most common mistakes that people make right there, is coming off the tracks just like that. So here is staying on the tracks and off the tracks. See how it piles up behind you? And that is the #1 reason why my brother, especially on windy days, has gone through more shirts, he's shredded more shirts hooking himself than you can imagine. And the Band-Aids that take up valuable cargo place in his fly boxes. So pay attention, Dan. Well, another thing would be the speed of your casting stroke. The tendency would be to just come out 90 miles an hour. That's something we want to avoid. I think Captain Chris Myers describes it perfectly when he says, imagine your rod is like a long paintbrush. You dip it into the bucket, and your job is to bring that rod back, accelerate it to the point where you're going to flick the paint up on high on the back wall. And you want no paint to splatter anywhere in between. So you come back and you come to that abrupt pause to stop, and that will give you the proper acceleration. And I highly recommend that you check out Captain Chris's YouTube channel. There will be a link in the comments section to some of his cast fly fishing tutorials. So definitely check that out. So one of the tendencies that many casters have is to creep forward with their left hand as they're delivering the forward cast, sort of like this. And what happens then is it unloads the rod. So a good fix to help you to get in synchronization with your rod and your line hand would be to shoot from the hip. So you start off and you do a gathering haul, and you plant it right there. Plant it right at your hip. Do that again. And that way you know your rod is loaded and you're not creeping forward, and eventually that'll just become on autopilot. So with the double haul, you want to avoid the tendency to haul too soon, sort of like we do on the gathering haul when we haul right away. We want to delay that haul until the abrupt pause. It just turbocharges the rod load when we delay the haul. And it goes like this. And if you notice, the left arm, the line hand stays taut. It's like a yo-yo going back and forth. Simple as that. So a nice drill to help you to coordinate one step at a time, the double haul, would be just get out on the grass, extend the line, keep the rod tip low so you're going to get maximum stroke, and then delay that wrist, delay the haul until the end, and just let it lay out behind you. Okay. Now turn around. Keep the rod tip low, and boom. And when you want to work on the forward stroke, that way you're just working at one side at a time, and it'll get you in synchronization with that. Where the double haul fails is when we're not able to get the line to return. We pull on the yo-yo and it doesn't return. And why it would fail, either you got too much line out or you came off the tracks. So when you come off the tracks, you're dumping the line behind me and nothing happens, just like we showed you before. So if you stay on the tracks, it's going to work. If you come off the tracks, even if you do a nice haul, it just gets out of sync and the line doesn't know where to go. So that way you can self-diagnose your problems. So to wrap things up, I would definitely recommend that you find yourself a mentor or a local fly fishing club or the local Orvis to get some lessons to help you to learn a little bit faster. My wife and I joined the local Lake Erie chapter of Fly Fishers International, and I'll tell you, the camaraderie is wonderful. The variety of talent that is shared amongst the club is a blessing to many, both young and old, so keep that in mind. There's a lot more to fly fishing than just casting, so for that reason we're going to do another video soon on fly fishing tactics and help you to enjoy and maybe catch some more fish, so keep an eye out for that. Good luck to you.